Okay, this is yet another in a series of videos I'm making for my site, pfSenseSetup.com. And this is just a series of instructional videos on how to set up some basic things in the pfSense firewall. One of the questions that I get from people who come across my website in emails is how do I use pfSense to monitor my employees' web surfing habits? E.g., how do I find out who's on YouTube all the time? Well, there's monitoring software and logging software that you can install as add-on packages for pfSense. But one of the things that you can do is, if you want to just block certain websites, you can do that. And that's pretty easy to do. And I thought I'd make a video on that. So let's uh, set up some firewall rules to block certain websites. So we're going to start out here. We're at the pfSense login screen here. So I'm going to just type in the username and password here. And we're going to log in. I made the screen a little bit bigger this time. I figured it would be easier to view. And so we're at the dashboard here. And we want to go to firewall rules. So we'll go to firewall rules here. And let's assume, for purposes of this video, that we want to block /.org. So in order to do that, and we want to block it on the LAN interface, because we have three interfaces here: WAN, LAN, ZMZ. Theoretically, we could block it on DMZ, but we're going to assume that we want to block it on LAN. So here we are at the LAN tab, and we have a table here with the rules that are in place now. So we want to go to the right of that table and click on this plus sign here for add a new rule. And we have three options here: pass, block, and reject. So we want to block /. So we'll select block. And then there's and incidentally, reject reject will come back with a response instantaneously, whereas with block, packet is dropped silently, so the end user doesn't necessarily know what's going on if you have block set here. So we'll select block. Interface will keep as LAN. TCP/IP version as IPv4. Protocol will keep as TCP. For the source, we want to select LAN net. And for destination, we want to select a single host or alias, and we'll type in the IP address of /. Which is 216.34.181.45. And for destination port range, we want port 80, but it's one of the pfSense predefined ports, so we don't even have to type 80 here. We can just select it from the drop-down list here, and we'll select HTTP. And log packets that are handled by this rule is an option here. In this case, we might want to know who's trying to access /.org. So, but if you log a firewall rule, things that match a firewall rule, you might end up with a really big log. So I'm going to leave it unchecked for now. And for description, I'll call this the block /. rule. And there's advanced options here. I may do a video on some of the advanced options at some point, but for now we're going to just ignore those, and we'll just click save here. And that's pretty good. We have a rule in place now. And well, we're not done, because first of all, we have to click apply changes in order to apply the changes for the rules table to reload. But in addition to that, we have the anti-lockout rule in effect. And the anti-lockout rule put simply, is a rule that applies to the LAN interface so that you don't inadvertently lock yourself out of the pfSense web GUI. Because if you have, you know, if I had a rule, for example, to block all traffic on port 80, it would prevent me from logging into the pfSense web GUI, and then I have to, well, in this case, I have SSH, the SSH port also uh, un, unblocked, so I could still log in via SSH, but otherwise I would have to go to the you know go to the console and unblock it. So that might be problematic if I didn't have physical access to the pfSense box. But like many things that are set up to protect us from our own stupidity, in this case, is going to stop us from doing what we actually want to do. So we have to go in and disable this. So we have to go to System, Advanced, and there's an option here to disable the web configurator anti-lockout rule. So we'll check that checkbox here, and we'll click on Save, and then we'll go back to Firewall to confirm that everything's set up the way that we want it. So we'll go back to Firewall Rules, and we'll go to the LAN tab here, and it looks like everything's set up the way we want it. And remember, uh, firewall firewall rules are evaluated top down, so this will be evaluated first. So anything matching, so whatever matches this will be evaluated, uh, and will take precedence over the default allow LAN to any, or default allow LAN IPv6 to any rules. So let's open a new tab here, and we'll type in /dot.org. And it looks like we're blocked. The page is not loading here. And just to confirm that it's working the way that it's supposed to, let's go in and disable this rule. So we'll click Edit, and the second option here is disable this rule, which is very handy for situations like this where we're trying to test something. And we'll click on Save. And again, we'll click Apply Changes to apply the changes. We'll go back to this tab, and we'll try to access /dot.org again. And it's still not, oh, here we go. Yeah. So now it loaded. Yay. We're successful in, so it looks like our firewall rule is worked the way we wanted it to. But this is not a typical situation, because I used a case where the domain resolved to a single IP address. That's not always the case. For example, YouTube.com has resolves to many different IP addresses, so we don't have the luxury of being able to just block a single IP address. So there's a different procedure that we can use for blocking a site like YouTube. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to Diagnostics, and we're going to go to DNS lookup. And we just have a single edit box here, host name or IP. So we're going to type in youtube.com, and we're going to click on the DNS lookup button. And this is going to take probably anywhere between 15 and 30 seconds here. So oh, here, didn't take too long. So here we have a list of IP addresses, and there's an option down here, create alias. We also get some information here with resolution time per server. But what we're mainly concerned with here is there's, at the bottom of this list of IP addresses, there's an option here, create alias out of these addresses. And there's a link here that we can use to create an alias. So I'm going to click on that link. and it should create an alias for youtube.com. And again, this might take a few seconds to do. Um, oh, there we go. Alias created with name YouTube_com. And now let's take a look here. Okay, so we want to go to firewall aliases just to confirm that the alias was created. And lo and behold, there's youtube.com. So now we want to create a firewall rule using this alias. So we'll go to rules, and we'll go to the LAN tab, and again we're going to go to the right of the table here and click on the plus sign, and we're going to select block as our action. Interface will be LAN, TCP version will be IPv4 again, and protocol TCP. Source again will be LAN net, and destination will be an alias. And there's an option here, single host or alias. And the cool thing about this is that you just have to start typing in the alias, and it will autocomplete it. So I just typed in Y, and it's showing youtube.com. So if it exists as an alias, it will do the autocomplete for you. So you'll be able to know whether the alias exists or not even. And for the destination port range, again, we'll use HTTP, and I'll call this. And again, I'm going to leave logging off for now, and we'll call this the block YouTube rule. And we'll click on save. And so now we have block YouTube set up. We need to click on apply changes here to reload the firewall rules. And we don't have to disable the anti-lockout rule this time because we already did that. And let's type in youtube.com and see what happens here. And it looks like we're not getting out to YouTube. And actually, I'm going to have to upload this video to YouTube when I'm done with it. So I'm going to have to unblock YouTube. So we'll do disable this rule, and we'll do save. And again, we'll apply changes. And now we should be able to access YouTube. And it's trying to connect to YouTube, and it looks like it loaded. So we were able to access YouTube again. So it looks like the rule blocks it when it's enabled and doesn't block it when it's disabled, which is what it's supposed to do. Okay, well, that covers blocking a website using the firewall rules. So if you found this video helpful, you might want to visit my website, pfSenseSetup.com, and I'll be posting more videos in the very near future. So stay tuned for those.